are the big thinkers and innovators that are actually pushing the limit on what that means. So I'd like to start off by introducing our first panelist. Starting in a spare bedroom in her house, Callie Lewis has built a multimedia empire which will soon reside in a multi-million-dollar facility in Dallas, Texas. She's one of the first females in tech broadcasting. She's a correspondent for everyone from CNN, BBC, to Fox. And she has over 2.5 million followers in social media. And the most exciting statistic about Callie Lewis is that her videos have been viewed over 1 billion times. So I'd like to join me in welcoming Callie Lewis. Our next member of the Broadcast Minds panel is the biggest name in magic on the planet. His television show, MINDFREAK, is still viewed by over 100 million viewers every season in over 90 countries. His magic products are available in over 50,000 retail stores, and he's the star of Criss Angel's Believe at the Luxor. And he is the most watched magician on the internet, and one clip, Walk on Water, has over 50 million views. So join me in welcoming Mr. Criss Angel. All right, our next panelist for Broadcast Minds began his career in stand-up comedy, and his early writing work for Roseanne and Dennis Miller opened the door for him to join the cast of Saturday Night Live, where he was the anchor of the Weekend Update with his trademark line, "Now the Fake News." You can catch him on the Video Podcast Network's Norm Macdonald Live. Help me welcome the incomparable Norm Macdonald.
Yeah!
Now for the moderator. Tom Green is one of the most unpredictable comedians on the earth. He was the host of the Tom Green Show on MTV, and he's a pioneer of internet television, doing a live daily show from the comfort of his own living room, Tom Green's House Tonight. And he's also the host of the current show on Access TV, Tom Green Live. And recently he's released one of the finest beers to ever come out of Canada, Tom Green Beer, the most consistent branding man in television, Tom Green.
Hey, how's everyone doing? Welcome to the Broadcast Minds panel. You guys ready to have a good time tonight? Yeah! It's morning now, is it? Oh, yeah, we had a good night. The night hasn't ended yet. We've been partying it up all night, right, guys? Yeah, this is...
I'll tell you something, that Crazy Girls, that's truth in advertising.
Oh, yeah. So this is exciting. We're going to have a conversation here today about television and broadcasting. And what's exciting about this is everybody here has taken their passion in life and turned it into something amazing. And Criss, I mean, you are the most watched magician in history, on the most watched magician on the internet in history and on television. Well, what's the trick to getting? What's the trick to getting those kind of views?
Well, I think it's all about content. As you know from your success, it's about creating a moment that people are engaged to. And I think that I've been very blessed to understand, I think, the day and age that we live, how rapidly it changes, how to keep magic relevant. Whereas magic, for a period of time, kind of was stale and it wasn't pop culture. And for me, with my art, I try to keep it engaging pop culture, relevant, and try to do things that doesn't feel kind of old school. It might be old school, but it's packaged in a new way. And I think, with the internet and what's going on with social media, it's got to be something now that people haven't seen or that they want to show. It has to be short, it has to be exciting, and it has to hold the attention of the public, which is very fickle by and large. 10, 20 years ago, you could have one camera shoot something and people would want to see one continuous shot of something. That doesn't work. Kids today are like, overwhelmed with information. You have a short attention span, so it's got to be packaged in a way where it's short, concise, and is engaging. And I think I've found that formula, but it's always changing. So it's interesting to remain relevant by understanding how they process information now.
Yeah, we've all built our own little television studios as well, right? All four of us have built our own little television studios using consumer electronics, NewTek, TriCaster. Norm, we're doing the video podcast network and the Norm Macdonald live show using a TriCaster. Callie, you have a TriCaster. You have a TriCaster. Is it more fun doing it? You're on your own, producing the show yourself. Your new podcast is completely independent, and or do you prefer broadcast television?
No, I prefer narrowcasting because when I first came to Hollywood, I met Richard Pryor. I remember he said this thing. It was like, because I said, everybody loves you, And he's like, I can't do Richard Pryor. But he's like, no, they don't.
Yeah.
I do Cosby. He said, no, they don't. He goes, what? He goes, only 1 in 10 people either know me, and only 1 in 100 like me. He goes, but that's enough. Because it's. And I thought about it, that's like 3 million people. And so that's what's cool about like you having your own narrowcasting thing is that only tune in for you. So if I go on Letterman, we want to see Letterman. They're tuning in to see Letterman. I'm the guest. They might like me. They might not like me.
I don't know about that.
Everybody likes you, right? Everybody likes you.
Saturday Night Live, and on Saturday Night Live there was all this preparation, writers, and all sorts of people involved, executive producers, and now you can just do it all yourself. Is that process more fun, making the show more fun?
I like doing everything myself because I'm like a stand-up, so we started completely independent, completely responsible for bombing or doing well,
Yeah.
And so that's how we started. We grew up in stand-up, so it was funny, what Chris was telling me. I just read a book from when I was a kid called Future Shock by Alvin Toffler, but that's what he talks about. It's an amazing book, but he says, like, in the future, which is now, that people that don't understand technology will become obsolete, and they'll get future shock.
Yeah.
We're almost there.
That was that.
Callie
has and he said they'll have an enormous amount of product, and that's I was just talking to Callie backstage. She has so much product, it's unbelievable.
Review units, gadgets, technology.
But hundreds of hours.
Oh, yeah. I've been doing it for about 8 years.
So you've now built a large facility in Dallas.
Yeah, as Philip said, we started out really in a bedroom in a house, like a lot of YouTubers or online content people. But we've been able to grow over the years. First, we went into a 4,000 square foot studio that we leased. Now we've bought a building that we can really customize, make it state-of-the-art technology. It's like a geek heaven.
Bought a building, that's pretty cool.
I know. You've
built a whole web streaming facility also, Chris.
I created a 60,000 square foot complex which houses a broadcast studio, including fabrication shops to create the content, the props, the scenic design, all the elements, so that I'm kind of a one-stop shop. So any kind of dream I have, I don't have to go to anybody, rely on anybody. I think that is the future now, and I think, with technology, and specifically for me, the TriCaster, I'm not saying that to give a blatant plug, but it has been an amazing tool to be able to do everything yourself and look like you spent millions of dollars. In my case, unfortunately, I did. But you don't have to, that's the point.
Yeah, one man can do it, or you can have a team that can, make it even better with just that one box, which is brilliant.
Yeah. So my kid, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a sports guy. I grew up in Canada with you. I wanted to be a sportscaster, do hockey. But you know what my kid does? Nobody listens to it. But he does it, he loves PTI, so he does like a sports podcast. And he'll have that, you know, that Malcolm Gladwell thing where if you do 100,000 hours, you're an expert. He's doing like, 20 hours a week. Like nobody's listening to it. But he's getting better and better. Like it's amazing. I would have loved that when I was a kid. Wouldn't you have loved that?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. Who are some of the guests that you have coming up in the new season of Norm Macdonald Live?
Oh, we got the great Fred Willard, we got Larry King, we got Ray Romano, the great Ray Romano. Hey, we had Mickey Rooney booked, but the last guy.
Was he really booked on it?
Yeah, he was booked for the next week.
Yeah? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do you,
I didn't mean to bring everybody down. You got a good life, you know?
Yeah, is there stuff that you can talk about on the show? Does the conversation go off in crazy directions that you wouldn't take it on?
Well, you know the interesting thing is, like, when you have no notes from censors or anything. So the first shows were like, practically pornographic. You just say everything that comes to your mind. So you have to, censor yourself, like.
You have to decide who your audience you want to be, who they are, and where you want to go with it, and then you have freedom.
But you have to, you have to sort of give notes to yourself. Like there was a great Bob Dylan line, he said, what did he say, if you live outside the law, you must be honest. You know, so that's what I think, like, if nobody's telling you what to do, you gotta do it, you gotta tell yourself.
Right.
And wrong, you know?
Right, yeah. Now, Callie, it might be interesting from your perspective to tell people like how you built up what you do from scratch. You started this in your house, and
actually makes money.
And you make money. Now, how did you monetize this? How did you take something that you started in your house and then be able to buy a building? That's pretty cool.
So I think for us, it's all about diversification. I think the number one mistake that people make treating an online business is that they treat it like it's something new. You know, it's not anything new. This new media world that we live in is just like any business that's existed for all time. And you look at any other successful business, and they don't just do one thing. We don't just focus on advertising for the TV show that we do. We turn to our community. We use a service called Patreon, and I don't know how many viewers are out here right now, but we have so many people who are willing to support the show on a monthly basis just because they love what we do. They get the show for free, and they will always get it for free, but they continue to just give us money because they love it. And they're a big part of the family.
Patreon?
Patreon. And then we also focus on different things like product sales. We test things constantly. You may, as watching outside, you may not notice that we're testing things, but we're constantly testing different ideas and methods and seeing what works and what doesn't. For example, we released this Kickstarter project for what we call back parking cards. It's, you know how when you go in a parking lot and people, people are parked in the middle of the line, taking up 2 spots, and it frustrates the heck out of you, right? And you want to get your anger out, and you want to slash their tires, but that would send you to jail. So we've created these 9 different designs of cards that are just goofy and fun. Get your anger out, you just put it on their windshield and go, right?
Sounds like a Larry David episode.
Yeah. So we tested the market with a Kickstarter project. We wound up selling like $35,000 worth of those cards, just kind of willy-nilly, but it turned out that people wanted products that we could sell. And so, we'll do more of that in the future, hopefully. And then we also, not just advertising, not just product sales, not just community support, We work with companies like here at NAB. John P. and I were co-hosting the Panasonic stream, live stream event that they were putting on. So we work with companies in that regard, and we do a lot of different things. But the point is that we don't limit ourselves to what new media should be, because it's new. There are no rules, right? And that is the beauty of this world that we live in, is that we can play, we can learn from each other, and we can break new ground. It's exciting.
Yeah,
it is.
Chris, you like using Twitter?
I do use Twitter.
Norm, you like using Twitter?
I use it all around, but
using Twitter. Now, how do you use social media to complement what you're doing in the mainstream?
Well, I think you have to have a kind of a synergistic approach between television, social media, and obviously your typical and traditional kind of marketing. At least for me to be effective in new products. I have about 2,000 products that I have out. I don't license my name. And so I utilize Twitter to support. I had a television series on last year called Blowng on Spike. I had a 30-second commercial that I built into my contract, which if you ever do a TV show, get time, trade it for money. But it's very valuable because when the show plays in 102 countries, which my show is playing right now, it is a free commercial embedded in the show. So you drive everybody to your website, your Twitter is driving people to watch the show, and it all basically feeds off of each other. And you're able to really, do tremendous volume. My ticket sales just, with doing this approach between social media, television, went up 30%. Fourth quarter because of it, we attribute it. And I think products by and large also, reap the benefits of, because today, they used to say many years ago that it took, X amount of impressions, like 3 impressions or 10 impressions to have it be effective. But I think now, because of such an oversaturation of information that's, literally, just screaming at you, I think you have to have far more impressions in order to make people remember what you're trying to tell them. And so if it's a product, if it's buying a ticket, so really having a synergistic kind of strategy that employs many different, mediums to get your message out, and when they work harmoniously together, I think is really the most effective way today. Tomorrow, it might change.
And along those lines of getting, the message out constantly, I think you're absolutely right there. I think one mistake that people make online is being nervous of annoying their followers, right? And so the more you put out there, the more people actually are willing to pay attention to you. And so if you're constantly, sorry guys, I'm hammering, but no, not hard sales. But just constantly getting the message out in fun ways,
exactly.
Interesting ways. But the more you put out, the more they see, because they're following. How many people are you following on Twitter?
200. 300.
Yeah. So when you look, you probably look like 3-4 times a day, maybe. You're not going to see every message, but the more Chris puts out, or Norm puts out, or Tom puts out, the more chances they have of being able to catch your eye when you do wind up.
How often do you tweet, Norm? I notice I follow you on Twitter.
Yeah.
You're often tweeting in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Just wake up sometimes in the middle of the night and just feel the urge to tweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I like to do? Because I like tweeting, and then mostly I like reading my fans. A lot of them hate me. I don't know why they're following me, but that's what's actually interesting. Like, I remember when I was on Saturday Night Live, Norman Michaels told me the first year. He goes, people will come up to you in the street and say they like you and you'll think you're popular, but the people that hate you don't come up to you. And I was like, oh. Every time a guy complimented me, I go, oh, that guy probably hates me. But then, It's true. Because when you get Twitter, some people hate my guts.
Twitter has given us all so much more access to all of those millions of people that hate us. Yeah.
None of us like, at first I was worried that they'd come and murder me. Right?
Yeah, sure.
But that's never happened yet.
Yeah.
It seems like when they break down the barrier between the fans and the performers, the psychopaths they like that.
Yeah.
I hope Chris pulls a rabbit out of his hat later.
My ass. But I was going to say, what's interesting, and I think this has been a big misconception, is, like I have approximately 6 million followers between Twitter and Facebook and so that, but the conversion rate, everybody walks around like, I have 6 million followers, 16 million. People buy freaking followers on Twitter. I don't understand just have the number, but the conversion rate is very, very small. So you can't be like, oh, I have blah, 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 amount of people that follow me, and that's going to sell this, or that's going to push, because people become numb more now than, a few years ago.
No, that's true. I know people that got, when Twitter started, they got TV shows.
Yeah.
They had 4 million followers.
Yeah.
The TV network goes, oh, 4 million people will watch the guy's show immediately. It doesn't work.
I know a headline magician in town that literally buys his Twitter followers. I won't say who it is,
Wow.
but buys his Twitter followers.
The more important number is engagement. It doesn't necessarily matter because you can buy those Twitter followers and you can do a lot of different things to get numbers. It's more about engagement and how many people are actually responding, retweeting, commenting, how much do you comment back on the replies that you're getting. And those numbers are going to come out. Google Plus, for instance, I know. Okay, if it's the last thing I do, I'm going to get all three of you on Google Plus.
I should have done that.
What is Google Plus? Serious now. I'm really serious. What is Google Plus?
Only the second largest social network out there, It's Google's social network. So, if you're wondering why it's important, consider the fact that Google owns search, and when you put stuff out, it's all tied in together. Anyway, so they just released their view count. So when you go onto, my profile, I've got 2 million followers. How many views do I have, John?
110 million.
110 million views.
Looking for a job, let me see.
Right.
I'll have you come over with me.
But that view count tells you how much engagement I'm getting, right? It's not the highest number out there. Actually, my co-host John B has more engagement than I do. But that number is so important for the future of what we do here in the media, I believe.
Chris, you have this huge global brand, and then you do Loyal Saturdays. Are you still doing that?
I haven't had the opportunity because I've been working on television projects.
But you choose to sometimes do a streaming TV show from your studio, which is very unique and fun.
When I initially set up my studio, I was so excited about the opportunity to broadcast whatever I wanted to. I would broadcast 2 shows every day with other people. I wasn't even a talent on it. I just gave other people the opportunity, to do their thing. But it got very time-consuming, and then with other things that were going on, I wasn't able to continue to do that. But I do think that is certainly something that excites me, something that interests me in Loyal Saturdays and Live Wire and all those shows that I had lots of guests on, like yourself. And you've inspired me in so many ways because of what you did, back in the day before it was popular, before people were doing it, was really something.
Tom was before his time.
To kind of control your destiny, right, with the camera.
I just say never build a TV studio in your living room. never do it. Do it in a park or something before you do that. But
Don't you find also being before your time, like you always are, doesn't pay a lot?
yeah. The pioneers leave with the arrows in their back.
That sounds painful.
I don't know, I just made that up. No, somebody told me that one. No. But do you ever worry you're going to say something, you know, when you have this established brand and then you go on and you have this sort of free-form show, you ever worry you're going to say something that might get you in trouble? Or?
Well, I mean, yeah, my manager sometimes, can you pull that down? You know, because it could hurt your brand, you know, especially with a brand that is in a lot of households, to kids and stuff like that. But, you know, I look at it as I want a way to express myself and not be censored and be able to do what I do, because in the past I've, you know, had some issues and they were public, so now I just try to take that and keep that in a forum that allows me to do that, but sometimes you got to kind of censor yourself, as you talked about earlier. And I think that's the key, is to find that balance between, you know, maintaining a creative outlet that entices you and excites you, yet keeping it within reason and kind of making it applicable for most viewers.
Censor yourself, but also allow people to get to know the real you, which is what, you know, you're doing.
You don't want to know the real me. I meditate at home and
So Norm, how do you, let's talk about the technology for some of the technology you guys are using, the actual equipment, and then after that we can actually open it up for some questions. We can take some questions from the audience. But what equipment are we using here? We're using TriCasters, cameras, right? We're using cameras. And, microphones, the sound goes through the microphone, down the wire, into the TriCaster.
What's great about the new TriCaster, and again, it's not a plug, but
well, you have the new 8000.
Well, yeah, and what's amazing about it is that the past TriCaster, I would have to set up 2 cameras for every position I wanted, to have a close-up shot, and then to do a wide shot. And now you can literally zoom in. It has a tracking device on the thing, and it's amazing to be able to do that, because now you need half the cameras to get all the shots that you need within reach behind it, you know. So it's an amazing leap for the TriCaster, and so again, it's just amazing how that particular unit, probably 10, 15 years ago, would cost $500,000.
Yeah.
And now it's affordable, and you know, you can really do stuff that is beautiful quality and gives you so many opportunities. Your imagination is the limit. But cameras with wires,
yeah,
microphone, probably,
XLR connectors.
Yes.
And like I did, other times I've done stand-up specials, the networks do, you know. I always hate that, like, so they'll have like a crane shot, like swooping down, and that's a big thing. They want to do a crane shot. That's just me.
Doesn't distract the audience at all.
No,
crane.
They're trying to do a joke, and a crane's coming.
All they're paying attention to is the crane.
So I said, I want to do it. Like I want to do it in a small club. I want to do it my own way. So anyways, just did it with digital cameras, and did like 2 shows, and it was awesome. And then I did 3 cameras, I did 2 shows, so I did 3 cameras here, and then in the second show I used the 3 cameras elsewhere.
Yeah.
So it looks like 6 cameras.
Yeah.
You know? So but it was so fun, and you edited exactly the way you wanted, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, because I don't shoot the audience when I do it. Like whenever I've done a stand-up special, I always shoot the audience. You know, so if you talk about a Chinese guy, they cut to a Chinese guy. So I like doing just my own way. So, especially with stand-up, because you know how stand-up, you're very protective of it.
Yeah.
You don't want to mess it up. And I always thought when I saw a stand-up special, anybody's stand-up special, even as a kid, like George Carlin, they'd show the stand-up special, and then there'd be 200 names on the credits. And it's just a guy on stage. I don't know what those 200 people were doing. So my next special is just going to have 1 credit.
Take it back. Okay, well let's open up the floor to some questions. There is a microphone right there. If you have a question, why don't you go stand by the microphone, and we will field some questions from our audience. And the microphone is right over there with this gentleman here. What's your name, sir, and what is your question?
I'm working with the government in Belgium. The question for
You're from Belgium?
From Belgium.
Belgium, nice.
We've got a very nice stand over there if you want to see.
Okay.
Belgian chocolate tonight.
Okay, bonjour, monsieur.
So, I'm a technician.
Bonjour, monsieur.
Yeah, bonjour.
Yeah, whatever. Tu es pas français, tu es pas. No, Belgium, they speak French.
Speak French?
Yeah, we speak 4 languages, my dear.
Oh, okay, now you're showing
Small
off.
country. So from a technical point of view, I want to get your answer on that. What's the technology which today does not exist that you would love to leverage in your own businesses?
I would
I know
like,
it's a tricky question.
Time travel.
I cannot make this one.
we all have time travel forward.
Yes.
Actually, we have time travel backwards because what is on YouTube
Yes.
is always there. Whatever you do is always online, right?
That is a good question.
I like, you know what I like to do is Sims, because I do a lot of, I'm a degenerate gambler. This guy showed me how to do Sims, you know, which is like, you know, you play the game. If it's a basketball game, you play the basketball game 10 million times and see exactly what will happen.
Yeah.
And so I've become obsessed with Sims. And then this other guy told me, I grabbed some of the Sims. But this guy told me that he thinks that all of us here, all of life is a sim. Because he said, like, a computer will have the original, and then, of course, you have the 10 billion sims, right? So the chance that you hit the original is almost zero. The chance you hit the sims is like almost 100%. So he said the odds are that we are a sim.
That this panel is not actually happening right now. Or it's happening.
It's a pale like variation of an actual 4 really cool people.
Is there any technology that you could imagine using for not just for streaming video, but for your actual magic show?
Well, yeah, I played around with magnets for extensive use in levitation, and it's not feasible right now with the magnetic fields that you can create. They're very massive in order to be able to levitate something. Obviously,
You could levitate a robot.
the bullet train, you know, can but it's only, you know, a couple of inches.
So what do you mean?
That's what the bullet train does?
Huh?
That's what the bullet train does?
I believe so, yeah.
Maglev technology.
Yeah. But you can't. You know, there's this. I'm working on a new levitation that's going to be in my show, Believe, plug here at the Luxor in Vegas. This year, I've been working on it for 15 years. I had to actually employ some of the folks that do NASA stuff to be able to produce this idea that I had because the technology didn't exist. And so for me, it's always about forward thinking and looking at what's available and seeing the latest, greatest things and trying to, you know, always keep what I do with an emotional kind of connection to the audience. The magical emotion is not a trick, it's the human connection. And when you have that, whether you're doing, you know, web shows or television shows, that's what makes one's product or brand successful. It's not, it can't be cold, you know? And so for me, it's looking at what I can do in the future that embraces technology that's on the cusp of cutting edge, and maintain that human connection that's vital in success for anything, you know, really.
You know what makes things a lot easier is lighting. Like I find lighting enormously burdensome in every segment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything about video is a burdensome
Yeah.
production.
But if there was, like, some of these cameras need less lighting now.
Oh, yeah.
And I wish they'd come to a day when there was no lighting necessary because...
It's radio.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take another question here. Thank you very much. And if you want to ask a question, just get in line. and get a few people in line so we can keep it moving. What's your name, sir?
That's right.
And where are you from? And what's your question?
Derek Ross, originally from Vancouver.
Nice.
Kelly and Chris, Kelly mentioned the business, the cards you were selling. Chris, you mentioned keeping the 60 seconds in your spot. Any other quick hits on things you've come across, maybe things you didn't think was going to work, but worked great in your content?
I was just going to say, anytime I would try to make something that I thought people would like, it never worked. It was those demonstrations, like, I don't know if anybody saw me cut two people in the park and then switch their bodies. I did that, and then next thing I know, in a few months, it's number 18, the most watched YouTube clip, 20 million views, like that. I would say just to be true to yourself, and don't, it's like the song that's a hit usually took 15 minutes to write as opposed to 2 weeks to write. So, like, you know, what happened to you as well. So I would say just to be creative, you know, and try different things and spend little money trying things, because, you know, there's a lot of shows in this town that spend a shitload of money. I get fair?
Yeah.
On a bad idea, which will never make it a good idea. So you can't buy creativity, and there's so many people out there that have such successful clips because they didn't have money and forced them to be creative. So money's not the answer. It's being creative and thinking about unique ways, angles, and being strategic about how you can do something that is effective in a very saturated world that we live in.
And listening to your audience and paying attention to what they're asking for. I mean, 1 or 2 people that tell you they want this, it may be representative of the larger audience, it may not be, but testing is absolutely key. I was not sure that the business cards, the bad barking cards, would work at all. I was like, I don't think anybody's going to buy these things. But you know, we're very risk averse in our business. We don't take risks that we can't come back from. And so when we test small. We test with a lot of thought. The Patreon stuff, we didn't know if anybody would want to pay or if we would have like $1 a month, you know. So you just test these things, you put a lot of thought into it ahead of time, and you make smart decisions, or as smart as you can. Well, I don't know, smart.
I had a television program, and I decided to make a viral video.
Yeah.
So,
Set out to make a viral video.
yes, I did.
Okay.
So I said, it's called a sports show. It was a comedy sports show, right? So I just went to the basketball court and threw a basketball from full court for like 5 days. Yeah, I wanted to swoosh, right? And then I told the people on the show, I said, hey, let's make this video viral, you know? And it's me throwing a full court basket. Anyways, 600 views. So that's what they're saying, like you can't.
No, you know, maybe this hasn't caught on yet. It could explode tomorrow. Okay, here, we have another. Oh, yeah. You want him to ask? You prefer him? What?
Polite.
Oh, they have Mike over there too. Look at that. Oh, this is the guy over there too. Yeah. Okay. Good.
It's technology.
Okay, you go ahead then.
I was just wondering if you had any tricks or advice to procuring talent, guest talent, like you went from interviewing people on the street to being able to interview celebrities, and any tricks to bump up?
He just interviewed Dan Rather, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's you know, Norm knows.
I tweet them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. How did you get Ray Romano to come to your
tweeted
show?
him.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I do? I don't tweet them. I just go like, hey man, Ray Romano would be cool to have on the show. And then it says at Ray Romano. So then they send that all to Ray Romano. They go, oh, why do you come on the show? Come on the show and stuff like that.
That's a good idea.
I tried that with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It didn't work.
Tom, how do you get, because you have some amazing guests, how do you procure those guests?
Well, when I started doing my internet show, you know, it was a few years ago, there wasn't as many podcasts and things. things, and I reached out to people that I was just a huge fan of, and at the time there wasn't as much competition to get people, and people like Norm would come do my show all the time, and eventually we...
One time, I went on Tom's show. I did the Tonight Show. Remember that?
Huh?
I did the Tonight Show, which was taped at 5:30, and his show was live at 9. So I did the Tonight Show with the band Pitbull. Remember?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And then I took the band Pitbull, went over to Tom's house, did his show, which went on before the Tonight Show.
Yeah, we scooped them. So basically, Norm brings, I guess. But you know, don't be afraid to ask people, and you know, if you're, you know...
People like talking about themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at us, we're all up here. All right, now, thank you for your question. What's your name and...
I'm Ryder Cast. I'm from Ryerson University in Toronto.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, you guys have been talking a lot about social media.
Ryerson?
Yeah.
Awesome.
RTA program for Ryerson. There's this school of thought that says social media only preaches to the converted. People like your page and then you're able to contact them. So what is your thought on that? Because you guys have obviously built up these big social media followings. And also, so how do you overcome that? And also, do you agree with that idea that you can only really reach these people who already like your content?
No, not at all. I mean, I constantly, you know, I have a good following, but I constantly hear from people who just, quote unquote, find me, and they're like, what do you do? I have no clue who you are. Why am I following you, right? And that's, maybe they find me on a list or whatever, but there is a way to engage the audience. Whatever topic is of interest to you, or if you're producing content or whatever, you go out and activate that audience. So you go find the people who are talking about that using hashtags or whatever. It takes a lot of effort. It requires you to be dedicated, but you can reach an audience that is not your own and make them your own.
I find, like with Twitter, mine stopped. So I kind of agree with you. It stopped at a certain amount, and then it grew very incrementally from there, you know? But,
maybe you should like oranges instead of bananas.
What?
Maybe you should like oranges instead of
How do you know that? But, yeah, I don't know how.
Okay, so let's go over here. Thank you for your question, Ryerson. Okay, let's go to this, and we'll go back and forth now. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Neil Scott from Calgary, Canada.
I'm really left out of
The Canadians out here.
Okay, my question was prompted by what Callie said earlier about content that you put out there stays on the internet forever. So the question I have for all of you is, how do you manage content that's out there that no longer fits your brand, or you wish you hadn't said in the first place?
Yeah, like I never should have humped that dead moose. Not a day that goes by that I don't think
And also, you know, if you do, like, because I do stand-up, like, Tom, we go around the country, and so radio stations will interview, you know, you do, like, 4 or 5 radio stations in the morning, and then they have their cameras, you know, and that goes on the internet. So wherever you are, and you're in the morning, you know, what you're talking about, you say some crazy thing.
Yeah.
It's on the internet forever, and then, you know, whatever.
It's actually a problem, really. It really is, because there's so much video, everybody's filming with their cameras and their cell phones all the time. It ends up really kind of watering down what you want people to actually see, and when they search, you know, they don't know where to look. So you have to sort of learn.
On the other hand, when I go on the internet and look on YouTube and stuff, like for somebody that I like, I want to see everything. So, you know what I mean? I want to see bad stuff and the cool stuff, like, because I get addicted to YouTube. You know what I mean? Like, I'll watch and I'll go, I got to remember that motherfucker over there. And like, well, you know, they got that side thing, I go there next, and I watch that, and then I'm over there, and then it's 5 in the morning, and then I start tweeting.
Chris, what's the YouTube videos that got the highest views for you?
I think for me, it was The Walk on Water. I think 50 million, and then collectively there's over 250 million views. But yeah, I mean, it's just an interesting world that we live in, and it's you know, there's a lot of
Jesus walking water, not one hit.
You know, that's the thing. It's you know, what you were talking about before. It's like, you know, about you have to stay in your bedroom in order to have privacy nowadays, because no matter where you go, or look at all the cameras right now, this is going to be, right now, this moment will be on YouTube.
It's already
right now. It probably is. And that's the thing. So it's a completely different culture, and being a little older than probably you are, I grew up before, you know, the internet, before, you know, they had the phone in the kitchen,
Yeah.
the cord.
The what?
The phone in the kitchen.
That's right.
That you had to talk to everybody.
Oh, yeah.
That would be like, why are you, you know, in the room? Why aren't you able to say in front of everybody else? So I mean, it's very, you have to be careful, and you have to manage what you put out there. And a lot of kids today are putting out, you know, these pictures that are going to live on the internet. It's
From a
crazy.
kid's perspective, it's up to the parents, you know, to educate their kids on what to do, what not to do, and what the risks are. But from the question, I don't see you anymore, but oh, there you are. So your question, the only thing you can do is really focus SEO on your content that you want to push up, right? So that would be where I would say focus your efforts. You can't do anything about what's out there that you can't take down, and then just try and raise what you can from search results.
Okay, thanks. We have time for a few more questions, so let's go ahead with your question. Let's see if we can get these last three people in before we run out of time.
Okay, hi, my name is Jennifer Dines, and I work at a public access station in Portland, Oregon. And so, thank you. What we need to do is get people to create their own content and encourage them to come up with their ideas and then see them through to the end. We also have a TriCaster 8000, so that's a good start. But no matter how much technology we have, if their content sucks, no one's going to watch it. And so, I guess my question is, how would you teach a public access class? How would you get people to make their own show and have it be of some substance?
Oh, Tom, you could answer that.
Well, you know, it's like we've been talking about. You need to start with, you know, in something that's interesting. It has to be interesting. That's, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be funny. It doesn't necessarily, but interesting is always good. I would say start by humping a dead moose.
We've already done that.
But
We even had the naked guy, and you know, just to.
Oh, this sounds like a good show. But you know, people will have to just think of something that people are going to want to watch, and that's what you
Maybe there's too much information.
Yes.
Maybe there's too much stuff out. Maybe it's enough. Maybe we can stop.
So the answer is do nothing. That would be yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you. We have time for one more question. We have a minute left. We have to wrap this up. We have two more questions.
That was basically my question. She kind of asked that, so I'm willing to pass it on to the next guy. But unless you want to say something.
I mean, I get, but I mean, in all seriousness, you know, we can spend too much time figuring out how the cameras work and getting everything lit right and setting up your set, and you forget that you still have to have an interesting conversation. So, yeah, go.
You're obviously from LA. I was wondering how you utilize the live streaming abilities of the TriCaster to interact with the audience, or do you mainly use it for podcasting and post-based stuff?
How do you guys?
I mean, really, you can use a TriCaster in so many different applications. You know, I've used it to have, you know, to roll in content, to have people participate that are at home on their computer. You know, you can. It's really endless what you can do with that thing. The virtual sets, just so many ways. Pre-tape, live.
We do a lot of the same stuff. We, you know, bring people in, we actually have our engineer created a Skypezilla where we can bring in 4 different people from 4 different locations via Skype into the TriCaster and then switch between everybody from studio and on Skype. We actually use that to pull in the chat room. So when we do our live shows, we are listening and watching the chat rooms live. So questions that are being brought in, we talk about and answer the questions. And we'll sometimes display that. We actually do a check-in each week to ask people where they're from. So everybody from all around the world, from countries I've never even heard of, will say where they're from, and it's just like bam, 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 bam. It's awesome, but we'll put that on the screen so that people can see us and the chat room at the same time, and that engages the audience a little bit more as well.
Your show's live, right now?
Yes, it is. I'd like to get what's a virtual set?
Virtual set is basically a green screen that you can have. You can create one from scratch, or you can use.
No, I understand green screen.
And what you did with the news.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we are out of time, but let's take our one last question, and then we cannot do the question. Let's not take our question. You can come ask your question to us right over here personally after the show. Thank you very much, everybody, for. Thank you, Chris Angel, Callie Lewis, Lauren McDonald, and thank you.
And make sure you check out Tom Reed's show on Hard Rock, Chris Angel with Fluxor, and everybody else online. Thank you guys. We appreciate you guys being here.